God meets the needs of each other through relationships.
That's right. And when you love, you know you're giving.
Yes.
That's how you know you love somebody, what you give, and not
Yes.
just what you receive.
God so loved the world that he
gave.
He gave. So what you give to and what you serve, you love. So what you think? What you think the overall purpose of relationships is? Like, period.
I mean,
romantic, friendships, what's up?
Just relationships, period. I think I go back to Genesis.
Gotcha.
When Adam was created by God, and he said that it wasn't good that man be alone. And so he created a helpmeet. And I believe that is because when we leave in our parents' home, we still have needs. You know what I'm saying?
You went so fast just now.
Okay, but we got
That's
it.
good.
That's
but
good.
But you just said so much
okay,
just
got
now.
You.
So you said, let's go back to Genesis when God said about Adam, it's not good for man to be alone. That's crazy because everything God created was good. But this is the only thing he said is not good.
Got you.
You know what I mean? That man should be alone. So I guess you're right to answer and to solve the problem of being alone. I don't want to say loneliness. I think that's more like a spirit.
Yeah.
But being alone, he created another being.
That's right.
So to solve, to be the answer to being alone. And then to help me.
That's true.
So why do we need help?
Well, I feel like we need help because when we're leaving our parents' house, our parents are there to provide our needs. And then once we're leaving the house, we still have needs as humans. That's what I believe. And I believe a person is there, whether it be a best friend, whether it be a spouse, or just a type of relationship where we still can get our needs met in our adulthood.
I think that's very, very good because I grew up in sanctified Holy Ghost church where God will supply all of your needs. But he uses people to do that. And that's why he created other people. And that's what I think that's the purpose of relationships, like you said, to have your needs met and supplied, because even though God is God, our connection to him is spiritual. We're not just spiritual beings, we're social beings, we're emotional beings, we're physical beings. And there are certain things God is just not gonna be. He's not going to become
because he's not physical.
Right. So he supplies that through other people. Like, love your neighbor as thyself, because if you do not love your fellow man, I ain't just talking about your boo thing. Or if you don't love, then somebody near you won't get what they need.
That's true.
Whether it's advice, whether it's, resources, whatever. But if you don't love and make yourself available to be used by God to supply a need, somebody, even
it's going to lack, right?
Yeah. That's what you were saying, even like parents and growing up in a household, there's so many unmet needs of affirmation, validation, what else? Support,
attention, affection, so many things that sometimes we don't realize we lack in our adult years. And in some way we all have nobody's perfect, none of our parents are perfect, but there are places where we lack, and then we don't realize it until we get older. And then we suffer, and then we say, whoa, I think it's something else that I need. And so that's when God starts supplying our needs.
And I grew up like that. I mean, it was a religious household, but yet there was a lot of unmet needs of like basic affirmation,
encouragement.
Oh my, so many unmet needs. So I just became like performance-based personality. Like, if I perform, they affirm me. If I perform and play and sing, then I'm validated. So I developed a performance-based personality. And I know a lot of people deal with that. There might be somebody out there that might be dealing with that right now, and you don't realize that you're functioning out of an unmet need. And you become this person to yourself, and you think it's really you, but it's the you've become based on an unmet need. And so I overserved. Not that serving is bad, but I overperformed, and I just wanted to make sure people liked me because I didn't have the basic needs as a child. So it's not until I realized that I broke free of that, and I'm like, hey, I don't have to perform all the time to be validated. I was already validated.
That's right. Already loved by God, already validated by God. But if our parents don't teach us the love language, the God love language, then we won't know, and then we will perform for love, and we will perform too much when we want to find a friend or a spouse. We'll overdo it.
Let me go deeper than that. If our parents don't teach us that, if you don't have both your parents, That's an unmet need from the jump.
It is.
Just from the start. You know what I mean?
So that goes to what the purpose is. The purpose is to have your needs met, because you can grow up with unmet needs and not realize it. So that's why God has to bring that perfect person to you, that God person to you, to fulfill all of those voids and needs. So I feel like that's the purpose of God.
And that's
in relationships and love.
And yes, and high five on that. Boom. That is amazing as far in marriages and in friendships, right? I'm looking, I don't know why this came to me. David just came to me, right? The prophet Samuel comes to Jesse's house. Where are your sons? Where are your sons? Where are your sons? And he brings out all his sons except David. So David is like overlooked by his dad. He has a father who don't see him for who he is. So I'm sure there were unmet needs all in that.
Totally.
But then David finds Jonathan. And Jonathan sees who he is, and he sees the greatness in him, and he sees all his amazing things. So God met that unmet need through a friend.
Through a friend. There you go. Prime example.
Ain't that good?
Yep.
And that just came to me.
That just
like
came
just now.
No, but that's good.
Seriously, so whether it's friends, even business relationships, spiritual relationships, or spouses, God meets the needs of each other through relationships.
That's right.
And many people go into relationships selfishly. I'm guilty of that too, just going in for what you, if you ask somebody, do you love them? Yeah. Why do you love them? They make me feel good. When I'm around them, you say everything that you're benefiting from. And not that all of that is wrong, but if that's the reason why you love them, you don't.
You may not.
You
may not love them. That's right.
So,
because love is what you're saying. And when you love, you know you're giving.
Yes.
That's how you know you love somebody, what you give, and not
Yes.
just what you receive.
God so loved the world that he
gave.
He gave. So what you give to and what you serve, you love. So I think that's very, very important, going into friendships, not just for what you need. Oh, they got a car, so I'm gonna be his friend because I'm gonna have a ride everywhere I go, and we best friends because they make me feel good.
Right.
I think that should be a byproduct. I think that should be like a benefit to a relationship, that they make me feel good or whatever. But overall, how many times do we ask ourselves, how can I meet the need of my friend or my spouse?
Right.
What can I do today to help meet one of their needs? I don't think we normally think like that, especially in this me culture. So that'll be a good challenge for anybody out there today. That'll be a good challenge for you. Wake up today, tomorrow, and challenge yourself, how can I meet the needs of those I say I love?
That's good.
Ooh.
And that's how
If I really love you, it shouldn't be a strain for me to at least think about meeting a need that I know you have. Some people around you, and I'm not talking about money, a ride, car, or anything like that. Some people, you know, just need encouragement. They went through a tough time. They're going through stuff, and you need, and what's encouragement? Can you break that down a little bit?
Well, encouragement is not validation. So we confuse encouragement with validation.
Right.
Validation is, yeah, you did well, you did a great job, but that's after the fact. Encouragement is the motivation to actually do it. And validation is once it's done. And so it's better to have an encouragement environment.
Got you.
Encouraging environment.
So encouragement is like the atmosphere that encourages you to perform.
That's right.
And after you perform, the cheers is validation.
That's the validation.
Right, so most people don't have the atmosphere of encouragement. Your conversations with your spouse, the household is not, you know, it's friction sometimes. It's argumentative a lot of times. When I was first about to get married, you know, one of my friends at the time said, every time I walk into my front door, before I turn the key, I take a deep breath like, man, I'm about to go home. Are you ready for that, Tye? I was like, man, I ain't gonna have that. But that's a lot of people's reality.
You mean in a negative way?
In a negative way, like, here we go.
Okay.
I gotta enter into my house, my spouse, my kids, and you understand what I'm saying? And that's the reality for a lot of people. You know what I mean?
So the purpose of relationships is to get our needs met by each other.
Yeah.
And
So I'm saying having that environment of encouragement, if that's the house, if that should be your home, that should be your safe place.
That's
where,
correct.
Hey man, you know, you're fearfully and wonderfully made. You can do all things through Christ. That should be bouncing off the walls of the house and not, why'd you take out the trash? When are you gonna?
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Just the tone of the house should be set for encouragement, so everyone can be free to be who God created them to be.
Right.
So how can I meet your need today?
My needs are met.
Yes. I must be doing an all right job.
You are. You are.
And likewise.
You are. Thank you. for me, having a relationship with God is the most important relationship, right? Because how can we have a relationship holistically without the Father, without our Creator leading us and guiding us into all truth?
Yeah.
And so in order for us to have a great relationship, we have to mirror our godly relationship to our personal relationships. And we have to put God first. So if we're acknowledging God in all of our ways and He's directing our path, then we'll have great relationships. But we can't run for the relationship first without the Father. And so I think that relationship is first. We need to invest in our time with God and spend time with God, and then He'll lead us into a better relationship. Because if we don't, we'll just be wasting time, trying to have good relationships without being led. And so I think that's most important.
I love that. And the Bible says, in all thy ways acknowledge Him, and He'll direct your paths. And I think God's way just works. Even the first commandment is love the Lord with all your heart, mind, soul, and love thy neighbor as thyself. But it's love the Lord first. Lock in that relationship first.
Exactly.
And then I can help give you supply for all the other relationships.
True.
You understand what I'm saying?
That's true.
I think we can handle relationships, and God just got to deal with us. Like, God, you just deal with us. We got that.
Exactly.
No, you tap in here, and I'll give you supply for even that. Because I think the base of every human should be God. Because God is in you. So if I'm going to relate to you, I have to depend on God in me and the God in you to bring harmony here.
That's true.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yep.
I think in society, they make the base humanity. Like we're all humans. The base is humanity, so we build from there. We got to build from God.
Our Creator.
Yes, because
right.
He's in that secret place and in the intertwinings of our very beings. And I think once we lock in that relationship with Him and keep that strong, He'll give us supply for every other relationship.
Yeah, because the scripture says Jesus came to be in touch with our infirmities. He came to fill us. He came to be a part of our emotions and to be with us. And then how can we gauge our emotions the right way if we're not, intertwining it with Christ?
That right there is important, because I think a lot of people don't really understand that God knows how we feel. Not He understands psychologically or intellectually. He knows.
He feels.
He felt it. He been through it. He was tempted in all ways as we were. He's, touched by the feelings of our infirmities, like you said. So we can go to Him honestly with those feelings, and He can help us
with our relationships,
with those weaknesses in relationships and with ourselves. So I think that's paramount.
And I want to also say, because the reason why the relationship with God is so important, especially in marriage, is because sometimes we can't convey what we feel.
Right.
It's like because of our unmet need, we didn't develop a way of communicating. And so it's hard to communicate to our spouse sometimes to really get them to understand what's really going on. And so God taught me, if you really want your husband to really truly understand something, then you have to talk to me. And I will speak to him in his secret place. Because it's not always from the outside. Sometimes I have to speak to my son or to my daughter. And so, but if you're not relating to me and talking to me and praying to me about it, then how can I speak to the person? And so I think that's why that relationship is so important with God. Talking to Him, telling Him what you need, and then He is telling His children.
And I think God is so organized and in order that He'll keep it disruptive and a little dysfunctional until you acknowledge Him. And because He's like, come to me. I'm waiting on y'all. Y'all still don't know. Y'all still confused.
Ask me.
Ain't nobody asking me, though. You know what I mean? And then as soon as you lock into God and then He speaks to me or He speaks to you, then the harmony is there. He's like, that's the order. From here on, from now on. from now on, that's how you do it. You talk to me, I got that.
That's right.
So He wants that system.
That's right.
And that way in our lives, period. So
amen.
That's paramount. That was good. Hey, what's up, guys? Listen, Shanté and I are creating an entire digital series all about love, relationships, and marriage.
That's right. We want to hear from you. Please drop any questions that you have in our comments below, and we'll answer as many as we can in our final video of the series.
Now, listen, y'all, no questions are off limits, so don't hold back. Now, let's get back to the video.
What marriage means to me personally, it means that, again, my needs are going to be met. And not so much just I'm taking, but I know that I'm here to give. I'm here to love unconditionally. I'm here to be whatever I need to be to my spouse. And so I'm hoping I would get the same thing. You know, I'm here to love. I'm ready to love. I'm ready to love unconditionally. But for me, I'm gonna need that same love. So I can't just give. I have to receive too. And so that's why I think marriage is so important, because as a single person, everybody are not givers. But for me, I'm a giver. So I'm gonna give, and not even realize when I'm depleted, or not even realize when my tank is empty. And so now a marriage is good. 2 is better than 1. So when one falls, the Bible said the other one is there to pick them up. And so that's why I think marriage is important. So if my husband is weak or he's falling, I'm there to pick him up, you know, and the same thing for me and him. And so that's why it's important to me.
And why did you choose to be married? Oh, because of that.
Because of that. Like, I felt like, man, I can't live with my father, my mother for the rest of my life. I'll have to be with somebody. It's not good that man be alone. And I was alone a lot, and I was the only child, and so I always had my own room. I always had a big old bed to sleep by myself.
I wanted my own room.
I had it.
I was with my brother all the time.
And so, but that's good.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I desired to be with somebody, see, because it's not good that man be alone, but I was always alone, and I said, you know, I'd rather share my life with somebody.
Marriage to me, in echoing what you're saying, the other side of the same coin, because I'm not saying it's not that, is the covenant, though. It's that commitment part of it. It's that covenant.
But that's the hard part.
To some,
I mean,
to
not
most,
hard, but the challenging part.
Yeah, it's that I'm here regardless of the season.
Right.
That part is what it means to me. We've made marriage gooey and marriage, you know. It's that I ain't going nowhere because I committed to you. So at a certain point in our lives, I saw you like Adam. God didn't say this is your wife. Adam got the revelation, bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh, that's the one. He got the revelation. So at some point I got the revelation like, oh, this the one. And I committed. And I committed to that in covenant, like, yo, whatever season we go through, I'm gonna go through it with you unless you leave me. I think also people, they make marriage a thing outside of each other. You understand what I'm saying? Is that a weird thing?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like you're saying, we focus on marriage, but what we should be focusing on is each other.
Yeah.
Because what is marriage without 2 human beings?
Yeah.
So how can we have a healthy marriage if we're not healthy?
Oh.
And then you just keep going.
That's why I married you. That stuff right there.
That stuff.
So that's the thing. But the covenant, the I ain't going nowhere, the we're going to figure this out, that if we don't understand each other, how do we navigate that? Everything is not an automatic door. When you get close to it, it just opens.
Right.
And we think it should be like that. Some things are a revolving door, and it takes the partnership of the one behind you and the one in front of you to get through to the other side.
That's true.
So you can't always determine the speed of that revolving door. You can't always determine the strength of the person in front of you or behind you. But I'm committed to going through this until we get to the other side. And people who don't have that commitment don't last. In marriage, in business, in the faith, in friendships, they don't last. So that's what it is for me, that commitment. And listen, maybe somebody out there, you're struggling with your commitment to your spouse or your covenant with your loved one, or with God, your commitment to God and staying in the faith, or you're going through a season now where you have lack of faith and you're doubting God now. Listen, man, God, he said, who shall separate me from the love of God? Nothing can separate you from God loving you. He kept his covenant. He's keeping his covenant. He's keeping his commitment with us when we go crazy and haywire. So when our lives go the same way, we should not disconnect from our commitment and covenant to him. Ask God to give you the strength, man. It's really the strength. It's really the strength, man, to remain committed. And one thing I've learned, for those of you who may be struggling with this, even in your marriages, with covenant and commitment, I've learned to keep the joy. That's warfare. The joy of the Lord is your strength. That's the second fruit of the Spirit. Love, okay, you got married. Quickly add joy to what you love. Quickly add joy to the relationship space, and that'll help you keep the covenant and the commitment. Your relationship with God is paramount. You can only keep this covenant and commitment supernaturally, and God will give you the strength when your marriage go haywire, when she's doing something you don't understand, when she's going through her time, and you like, I'm ready to get out of here. You pull your hair out, I got gray hair coming in, and you ready to just give it up. Tye, you don't understand. I hear you. Yeah, I pray. You don't understand. No. God will give you the strength to remain committed through that season. See, weeping endures for a night. The sufferings of this present time. It's never always. And if you can endure this season and remain committed, you're going to come out with the victory. I'm a witness. God bless you. Hey, I'm Tye Tribbett.
And I'm Shanté Tribbett. And thank you so much for watching The Praise on TBN YouTube channel.
Listen, Shanté and I have created a digital series all about love, relationship, and marriages.
Join us back here next week to see Tye and I discuss seasons of singleness, self-control, and how to navigate living in a sex-driven world.
That's right, and don't forget to subscribe and click the notification bell so you never miss an episode. God bless you.